All right, and as you can see, I've got it in there. It's all flush right here.
And I got this frame over here because I wanted to have a new home. And
What's going on, YouTube? This is Country Coder on Welcome Back to the channel. If this is your first time here on Welcome to the channel, I hope that you'll enjoy the content I have for you. Well, in today's video, I'm going to actually be working on the Sportster right there behind me. It's one of those that I was wanting to work on the Africa Twin, but I've got some parts that I've ordered, and you may be able to see it right there where the headlights all tore apart because I got some stuff I'm wanting to do, and I got some other parts that I've got ordered coming from overseas. So here in the next couple weeks, I'm going to have another video, working on the Africa Twin some more. But for today, I'm needing to work on the Sportster because, as you can see, the exhaust header pipe gaskets right here, they kind of look a little different, don't they? This one is the one that I took off, and the reason why I took it off, a couple weeks ago when I was riding, I noticed that something just wasn't sounding right, and I happened to actually feel around and thought I kept feeling some air coming out. And so a couple weeks ago, like I said, I tried to tighten up the bolts that was holding the flange on. Well, I went back the other day when I was riding, it just didn't sound right still. And so I kind of looked at it again and kept feeling, and of course I was feeling air. And so that's what made me pull the header pipes and everything off. And that's when I found the exhaust gasket was just completely shot. So I went to Harley yesterday and got 2 exhaust manifold gaskets, and I'm going to put those back on. But at the same time, I'm going to be changing the oil and the primary fluid on the Sportster as well. I've already drained the fluid, but as you can see, I've got some Lucas oil. Like I said in the last video, I really like Lucas oil products, and so I got their primary case oil, and then I got some Mobil 1 for the motor, and then of course I got a good brand here, Wix oil filter. And in order to change your oil on these, Evo Sportsters like this is 95. All right, down here on the bottom, you got a hose right here that's kind of going, on mine factory, is going to this little nipple, and you loosen this hose up and you pull it off that little nipple, and that actually drains your actual engine oil. And so I did that, and then after that I went down here and took this bolt loose to actually drain the primary fluid. So those two are pretty self-explanatory as far as how to change your, drain your oil and also drain your primary fluid. I still got to get the oil filter off, and because I didn't have the oil filter whenever I drained everything, but now that I've got the oil filter, I'm going to take it off, put a new oil filter on there, and then we're going to fill it up. But first thing let's get that header pipe and all the exhaust on the rear cylinder back on. So there's your exhaust, coming out of your rear cylinder. And you see this lip right here that's got a little kind of a taper to it, and also right here is where it kind of stops right there on your, the very back part. And even on your actual gasket, it's kind of got a little taper where this side right closest to the camera is actually a little thinner than the back side, as you can see right there. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go and slide this in there until it hits this back portion right here. All right, and as you can see, I've got it in there. It's all flush right here. And so now what we're going to do is I'm going to put the header pipe on this side. We'll put the put the stud and bolt back in here, and then put the nut back on here. So I also went ahead and put the cover back on just to make it a little easier. After I get on the bike, I'm not having to fight trying to get to these hose clamps that hold the cover over your exhaust pipe. I took it off because I thought maybe I had a hole in the actual pipe, but thankfully I don't. It was just the exhaust gasket. Alright, now that I got it kind of mocked up, you can see it's still loose, and these are still really loose. They're just barely tight. Just something to kind of hold it in there. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to put the rear portion of the muffler back on, or the pipe back on, and mount it. That way this is all set. And then we'll go ahead after that, tighten these all the way back up to the torque spec. So I don't know if y'all have a set of these gearing wrenches, but if y'all don't, y'all need to go invest in some, because these things are a lifesaver, especially when you got to get into tight spots like this. And I have a set of metric that I actually use on the Africa Twin, and I have a set of standard that I use here on the Harley. Like I said, they're great for when you're trying to get into tight spaces. So the manual says that the torque spec on your nuts on your exhaust flange is going to be 72 to 96. Well, me personally, I like going in between, and so I'm going to go to 84. One thing about these is that you're not wanting to tighten one side of it all the way before you start tightening the other side. You kind of want to go back and forth and tighten them evenly. Alright, and there we go, at 84. Before I can actually test and make sure that exhaust leak is fixed, what I need to do first is go ahead and finish the oil change that I started. That way I can crank it up and listen to it. But like I said, let's get the oil filter off, get a new oil filter on there, and we'll start filling it back up with fluid. Next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to fill our transmission fluid up. It's one of those that the manual says that you want the bike sitting upright, so I've got it sitting on the motorcycle jack, and I'm going to take this primary cover right here off so that we can fill it up. Alright, so right here is where you're actually going to be filling it up. You're going to be putting a funnel right here and flowing the fluid into there. So it takes 32 ounces or 1 quart of fluid, and that's the reason why I want you to sit it straight up. Otherwise, you'll start draining out right here. Alright, now that we have that filled up, let's put our cover back on and crank the bike and see if we fix our leak. Well, as you can see, I was feeling around and I couldn't feel any air coming out, but it's kind of hard for me to hear if there's any kind of air escaping or anything going on, because it's raining outside and I've got a tin roof, and you know, I enjoy my tin roofs as far as sleeping and everything, but when you're trying to troubleshoot maybe some sounds and stuff, it's kind of hard to hear whether or not you got something going on. What's going on, y'all? It's the next day, and look who I see. Mr. Saddle Tramp.
Hey, amigos.
So, yeah, we'll come down here today, just come hang out a little bit, and, you know, we've been hanging out for a couple hours now, and it's one of those I wanted to come down here because I'm getting blamed for something that you can see behind me.
Yeah, that thing. It's all Carson's fault. I said something about, you know, I've got this engine here, I've had it for years, and I got this frame over here because I wanted to have a new home, and one day I'm going to build a motorcycle, And he says, well, how about right now, or something like that. And he got my wheels turning. I thought, well, I did find all my motor mount bolts and yada yada yada. I went, okay. So we wrestled to get the engine into the frame, and then after that it was all downhill from there. And then boom, abracadabra, there's a motorcycle.
So yeah, it's one of those that, like he was saying, you know, I didn't want him to try to have to hassle trying to get the motor into the frame by himself. And I'll leave the video right up here where he kind of gives you a little backstory about the redemption bike and why it's called that and everything. I think it's a pretty cool story, but I kind of want to come down here, you know, and hang out a little bit. And I'm hoping that he's going to will this to me, since it's my fault, when he passes away. But we'll see whether that happens. All right, we got some stuff we're going to do to this bike, so let's see what all we got going on. So we're going to be working on the redemption bike a little bit. Saddle Tramp put the points in there, and he's wanting to see if he can get it running a little better using electronic ignition by, you know, converting it, because when you're doing the static timing, he really doesn't have enough of a play to be able to adjust it.
So what I have is this Dynatech ignition kit. Tends to work on all motorcycles that are cool, like those that don't suck, like this one and all the other bikes I have. Anyway, I don't know. It's electronic, and apparently it looks to me like Evos weren't meant to have them, just by the timing mark. I'm assuming the timing mark is different on the cam. I don't want to go into the details. This is going to be an experiment to see if this works, because apparently this works on shovels too. I'm not sure. But my friend AJ from, what do you call it, Mayhem and Motorcycles, he has an 82 or an 83 shovel head, and he runs these. Which, anyway, we'll see what happens. The reason why I said that is because this is a 1990 Sportster motor. That shovel head over there is 1979. Electronic ignition came out on Harley Davidson's in 1978. And it turns out the little timing cup, you guys who know about these things, they go on the end of the cam. It had something to do with the timing of the ignition. I took the one out of this and I put it in the shovel head, and it ran just great. So I'm kind of thinking maybe, I don't know, I might be wrong, that Harley changed the cutout on the cam for the timing thingy doohickey, whatever it's called. I wish I knew the right terminology. I'd tell you what it is. I wish I had an extra one in my hand. I'd show you what it is. But being that I said all of that, and AJ runs a shovel head with that kind of ignition, maybe this kind of ignition is supposed to work in a certain years. I don't know. But we're going to find out the hard way. At least I am. I don't know if Carson's going to film this or not, because this is not really all that entertaining. After all, his channel's a hell of a lot better than mine. I mean, if it weren't for Carson, I wouldn't have a YouTube. And anyway, I'm lying. Anyway, but
if it wasn't for this guy, I wouldn't have a YouTube channel, because I was watching his channel and started doing YouTube kind of because of this guy. So it's his fault I'm doing YouTube.
Just like it's his fault I built this motorcycle. Alright, I'm going to do this. Never messed with this kind of ignition. Don't even know if I did it right as far as setting up the, testing the static timing, but let's see what happens. And I kind of feel like I'm making my own video here, but it's going to go on your channel. Interesting. Alright, here goes nothing. Let's see what happens.
as you can see, it was running, and then we turned it off and tried to start it back up, and it looks like his starter is done, you know, crap the bed. So
It's only 35 years old, so I guess it's allowed to take a dump.
yeah, you know, that's the problem about working on old motorcycles.
I have to say, this is the first time I ever started to take a dump on me. It's like out in the shovel head. You're supposed to go crap. With an Eagle, that happened before. But this is the early Eagle Sportster. So, and it's 35 years old, so cool. Okay. This will be in the market for a new starter. And, but I don't know what else to say else, guys. But as always, you guys keep the riverside down. You be good to yourselves. And thanks. Oh, and check out my Patreon too. The link is down below, ain't it?
Yeah.
And check out my channel. The link is down below too, right?
Yep, it'll be down below.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, and subscribe to this guy if you haven't already. But you're probably a subscriber because you're watching this video. Right?
Yes, you are.
Yeah,
And I appreciate y'all.
All right, right on.
So until the next video, y'all take the city route, and I'll see y'all then.
What do you say?